Bum, bum, bum. Oh, budget. Right, 30 seconds to go. Right, so good afternoon, everybody. For those that are just joining me, my name's Lee Gardner. I am a financial planner. For those that don't know me, I'm live on YouTube and on Instagram. So I don't know if you managed to watch the budget today, but for me, I'll be honest, I was expecting a lot more from it. I'm going to talk about the budget in the context of being a financial planner and the areas that I believe are going to impact your, financial plans. So the purpose of this session is just to give you some feedback on the sort of key areas that will impact on your finances, and really what my views are on it, and maybe some planning opportunities that may afford. There is a Q&A. You have to excuse me, I've not used YouTube Live before. I think the chat is open, so if you've got any questions, just put them in there and I will try and answer them. As always with the budget, the devil is in the detail. So we have the sort of headlines of what's going on, but over the next few days, these things will obviously become a little bit more clearer in terms of what they are. Obviously, the big one, there's £40 billion being raised in this budget, with the bulk of the money coming from employers. And the biggest budget announcement really that was a big surprise was the huge increase to employer NI. So not only is employer NI going to increase to 15% from April 2025, the threshold for when employer national insurance kicks in has been reduced from 9,000 down to 5. But remember, there is the employer's allowance. So if you're a small business and your national insurance bill doesn't exceed £100,000, then you can get an employer's allowance, and that has been increased from 5,000 to 10. If you are an employer and want more details on this, drop me a message directly, and I will give you more information. If you're joining for the first time, and there's a few of you joining now, I have been putting a lot of stuff out on YouTube, and it's going to be my main platform to provide education and feedback on financial services. So please make sure you give me a follow and give me a like. It all helps the metrics, apparently. Personal allowances, again, they've been frozen. The freeze was already there on personal allowances, and that they are going to remain frozen until 2028. And then we're going to see the personal allowances increase in line with inflation. But the biggie, and I am the pensions guy, and I bloody love pensions. I was very, very nervous about the changes to pensions. So what did we think was going to happen? We thought there was going to be some pressure around tax relief, especially for higher rate taxpayers who can get up to 45% tax relief on their pensions. I mean, for me, it's a gift. We also were concerned about death benefits on pensions. So when pension schemes were passed on to your beneficiaries. And we were also concerned about tax-free cash, and I took loads of calls from clients around tax-free cash. And the great news is, even though the inheritance protection has been removed from pensions, that was the only change at this point that we're seeing. So let's just unpack what that actually means. So at the moment, if you die, your pension fund doesn't form part of your estate, so it's passed on to your beneficiaries. If you die before 75, they receive all the money tax-free personally, and the money is not part of the estate for inheritance tax purposes. From April 2027, so we've got a couple of years on this, when you die, the value of your pension fund will now form part of your estate for inheritance tax purposes. Now, I think what this will encourage people to do is to spend their money more in retirement. Pensions were not designed to be a vehicle for legacy planning. And I think a lot of people will start to use them that way. So we've got a couple of years before this kicks in, but I think this will massively encourage people to be a bit more proactive of spending and maybe gifting in retirement. So for me, the big focus of the budget as a financial planner is all around pension planning, and it's all around potentially inheritance and legacy planning. So pensions from April 27 will form part of your estate. But the fantastic news is we still are going to receive, or you are still going to be able to receive, tax relief on your pension contributions. And just as a reminder, you have the ability to have up to £60,000 per year paid into a pension, subject to 100% of your salary. If it's a personal contribution, if it's an employer contribution, it's 60,000. And remember, if you haven't fully funded your pension in the previous 3 tax years, you are able to go back and mop up those allowances and get tax relief in that year. So I think it's phenomenally generous still around the tax relief on pensions. And when it comes to tax-free cash, there is already a cap on tax-free cash. So people were under the impression that the cap would be reduced. So when the lifetime allowance was removed this year, it was 1,073,000. The maximum tax-free cash that was available was just over 268,000. That cap still remains. So if your pension fund exceeds £1 million, the tax-free cash element of it is still only 268,000. But the great news is we haven't seen the reduction that we thought that we would see in tax-free cash. So I think that's phenomenally good news. As I say, just the one fly in the ointment, part of your estate for inheritance tax planning, but that's where we are. So some of the other headlines from the budget: stamp duty on second properties as of tomorrow. That's going to increase from 3% to 5%. I believe that's another nail in the coffin for buy-to-lets. It already is proving a little bit more difficult with the regulations and the taxation. The extra stamp duty now, as of tomorrow, for second properties, that's going to be an extra cost that you're going to have to bear if you're buying second properties. And capital gains tax, we were expecting something pretty harsh here. There was talk about 40% capital gains tax, increasing to. It has increased. If you're a basic rate taxpayer, it's increasing from 10 to 18, and a higher rate taxpayer on assets, 20 to 24. So again, a small increase. It brings it in line with residential property. So again, I don't think that's a massive impact, because remember, you're only paying capital gains tax on a gain and on profit. So nobody likes paying tax, but it is only on profit and on gain. So again, I think that's pretty good. So where do I see the opportunities within this budget? I think if you're in accumulation stage, you should absolutely be maximizing the contributions that you can make to your pension. The ability for you to get up to 45% tax relief or corporation tax relief if you're a business, for me, is still phenomenal. I think the fact you've still got full access to over £268,000 of tax-free money in retirement is great. And you can access your pension either flexibly or via annuity and utilise your personal allowance in retirement to draw money from your pension, potentially tax-free. So me, as the pensions guy, because I love pensions, I still think the opportunity to really double down on your pension contributions is really the big takeaway for me on this. Yes, you're going to need to have a little bit more thought around if you have a large estate and there is a potential inheritance tax bill. then you do need to think about that more, and thinking about your will and trusts and maybe your other investments is going to form more of that planning process. But for me, the biggest and the easiest way to reduce inheritance tax is to spend your money. And when you're in retirement, and I say to clients, your money's not a museum piece, it's there to be spent. Either spend it or gift it. That's for me the best way. Leaving it in assets that potentially might attract inheritance tax for your children. Use the money, spread some joy, join in, have the joy of spending your money and gifting it and utilize it. That's the best way for me. ISAs, you should be fully funding ISAs because you are getting money into a tax-free environment. Either cash if you're more cautious, investment ISAs if you're a little bit more adventurous and want growth over the longer term. The allowance has been frozen on ISAs until 2030. So at the minute, you have up to £20,000 that you can pay into ISAs, both as a combination of cash or investment. There are some ISAs for higher risk type investments, but we're not going to talk about those today. But the main types of ISA, cash and investment, are still there and are available for you to use. So all in all, I am pretty comfortable with where the budget is. I'm not sure what your thoughts are. I'm not sure if you have any questions that you've got around it, but all in all, it's nowhere near as painful as it could have been. So what we'll be going back and saying to our clients is just keep doing what we're doing, keep investing and saving that money, getting it into the tax efficient wrappers that are still available. Spend your money when you can, gift it if you've got more than you need, and that's it. So as a financial planner, there's not a huge amount for us to unpick with this. So I hope that's been useful. I hope that's been Instagram. I hope that's been useful for you too. If you haven't got any questions at this point, I'm not even certain if I've even opened up the chat, so I apologize if that hasn't, but you can message me directly following this, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. Remember, like, follow, and I'll be doing a more detailed follow-up to the budget once I've had a chance to digest everything. And again, I'm going to be coming at it from the position of a financial planner, and a financial planner that specializes in clients that are retiring. So look out for my next post. I will put that on all the channels, my Instagram, my LinkedIn, etc. And if you don't follow me on any of the channels, it's Lee the Pensions Guy. Just stick that in, Lee the Pensions Guy, and you'll find me on all of those channels. So as always, look after yourself, look after your money, and if you need anything, you know where we are. And have a great day, and I'll speak to you all very soon.